Welcome to Time of Death. This video is for informational purposes and in no way meant to glorify or condone violence. In today's video, we'll be discussing the murder of Alonzo Finister. Finister was shot and killed on Thursday, January 24, 2002, at the intersection of 80th and Hoover Streets in the Vermont Knolls neighborhood of South LA, according to LA County coroner records. Archie Braggs was subsequently arrested and charged with the murder. The following is the evidence at trial. 16-year-old victim Alonzo Finister was riding his bike with his friend Darnell Waters sitting on the handlebars when at the intersection of 80th and Hoover, they heard a car approach, looked back and saw two African-American men in the car. One of the men got out and started shooting at the boys. The victim and Waters fell off the bike and ran in opposite directions. Waters fled to the safety of a nearby house, but the victim fell in the middle of the intersection, at which point one of the men from the car walked over to the victim and shot him 6 times, killing him. The shooting occurred in an area claimed by the A-Tray Hoovers. There were several eyewitnesses. One of them, who was on Hoover between 80th and 81st Streets, heard the shots, saw the victim run and fall, and saw the man stand over the victim and shoot him. Another 2 witnesses were on Hoover about a block away from 80th Street, when they heard screeching tires and some kind of crash. Looked up to see the victim lying in the intersection, a gold Buick parked about 15 yards away, and an African-American man shooting the victim as he lay on the ground. The shooter got into the Buick and the car drove towards the witnesses, who made eye contact with the passenger as he drove by. The witness wrote down a partial license plate number which matched the Buick owned by defendant, but registered to his aunt because defendant did not have a driver's license. The witness identified defendant from 2 photographic lineups. Defendant is an admitted and documented member of the Rolling 60s neighborhood Crips, who associated with other members of the gang. He has a Rolling 60s tattoo on his arm, and he worked as a bodyguard for a rapper who was a member of the Rolling 60s. His Buick, the car used in this murder, was purchased from another Rolling 60s gang member. During a recorded jail visit, defendant used the derogatory term snoovers to refer to Hoover gang members who were in the visiting room. The victim was a member of the Hoovers. In addition, the gang expert testified that the Rolling 60s neighborhood Crips and the A-Tray Hoovers were enemies, that the 2 gangs were engaged in a war that had been going on for at least 20 years, and that the gangs routinely attacked each other by shootings and assaults. Quite plainly, defendant was an active and fully immersed member of the Rolling 60s. Similarly, substantial evidence supports the jury's finding that the murder was committed to further the activities of the Rolling 60s. The fact that the victim was a member of a rival gang, defendant's statements to his jail visitor, and the fact that 3 days before this murder, the victim had been contacted by police in Hoover's territory while in the company of other Hoover gang members. As the gang expert explained, someone entering a rival gang's territory assumes that a person of the requisite age and ethnicity is a member of the rival gang. The point being that defendant entered the Hoover's territory, he assumed the victim was a member of the Hoovers and that he shot him for that reason. Following the trial, the jury convicted defendant Archie Lee Braggs of first-degree murder along with gun and gang allegations. The court sentenced him to life without the possibility of parole plus 37 years. Alonzo Finister was 16 years old at the time of death.